Oh, it is Monday night, Sketchy
Monday
Live.
night. Why does it seem so quiet? Isn't it weird how sometimes it's really quiet and then other times it's very noisy?
Sure.
It's crazy. Anyway, hey, you've made it. It's Monday night. It's Sketchy Live, the podcast. We were going to draw something fun, but then there was just so much stuff that happened over the last 2 weeks.
Yes.
We got to talk about it. So we're going to do the podcast for you folks. What's going on with me? Jabba the Hutt over here. Anyways, so we're going to get to some fun stuff. We're going to talk about Bug Jam. We're going to talk about LDR. We're going to talk about so much stuff. Can't wait to hear what you got to say. And we're so excited that you're here. It's Monday Night Sketchy Live, the podcast.
And we are back, guys.
Hey, it's Sketchy Live Monday, the podcast. You've made it. The live podcast that talks about the hot rod community, Volkswagen stuff, custom culture, all kinds of different things, movies,
Art.
TV, art, everything you can think of. We talk about
We do it all.
We do it all. I am Johnny Jalopy, hot rod artist, now podcaster. My beautiful wife, Eddie B, holding it all together.
Hello.
Spokesmodel. What else?
Linchpin. I've been called.
You're definitely the linchpin.
Yeah.
It is Sketchy Live Monday. We are so excited to talk to you guys because we got so much to talk about.
First of all,
go ahead.
Who tuned in last week? Because holy crap.
Oh my gosh.
We had
what an amazing
a legend in the house. We're talking
for sure.
in person in the studio.
Right up. Where's it?
Yeah.
Boom. Yeah.
He signed our graffiti cabinet.
Hope chest.
We got to share a meal with him, went to dinner with him. We got some good Mexican food.
It was so good.
Lil Daddy Roth is who we're talking about.
Lil Daddy Roth in the house.
He was in Gainesville at Don Garlett's, Big Daddy Don Garlett's museum.
So you definitely it's a podcast that you want to go check out. It was just last week. It's on our YouTube channel. You want to don't go check it out right now because we got some cool stuff to talk about tonight. But we definitely want to talk about Lil Daddy Roth and what he had to say and the great response that we had from people
we did have
who did watch and were on. You heard phenomenal stories about his childhood growing up with Big Daddy. It was just amazing. It was so good. It was so
never a silent moment.
No.
He has a ton of. We didn't even scratch the surface. Like I'd love to remote him in and have him on again, unless he's going to be in the area, and we'd love to have him back.
Live is better.
Yeah. But we'll take him how we can get him.
Yeah.
But it was really a good time spent with him
for sure,
and learned some new things, and he's just so entertaining as a person.
Before we get into all that stuff, let's hear who's on the broadcast tonight. Sketchy Live, the podcast. Who's here?
We've got Spud Anderson joining us from the Pacific Northwest.
Fantastic. What's up, Spud?
Good evening, Johnny and Beth.
Our ride or die friends.
Wiley Vincent tuning in from YouTube. Yes, we are live on Facebook and YouTube.
Thanks for being there.
Frank Pupello also from YouTube. It's time for Sketchy Live.
It's good to see the transition. There's a lot more folks going to the YouTubes for the beginnings.
We've got Lizzie Daughtry joining us. Hello, you two. It was so nice to meet you two. Oh my God, we are going to have to do this again.
Yes, it was great to see you guys and so much.
Yeah, Lizzie and her husband Randy and their son Steven have been fans of the show, friends of ours via the show. We have never met them in person, but for like the last at least 7 years. I don't know if they were here from the very, very beginning. Maybe she was.
I think so.
Probably from like episode 2 at least.
Definitely from the beginning. The Jalopy Army.
And they live in Dade City, our backyard, basically about 45 minutes away or so, and maybe an hour. and have never met them until this past weekend, which we will get into because Bug Jam happened. Lizzie is posting her YouTube channel, Ms. Butterfree 34. Go check it out. She does some really cool resin jewelry. She's actually doing some stuff for the holidays and doing some
we're heading into the holidays.
And
it's definitely a good time to go check out
indeed
her channel.
Our buddy Howard Pierpont from Mineola, Texas tonight, 54 and partly cloudy. Howard, as always, a pleasure having you on. Howard was supposed to be here, as you know, or some of you may have known. He was going to be here in October and couldn't make it and had a change in plans. So we missed him, but we have had Howard on the podcast before. So go check out those episodes. Those are on YouTube and Facebook as well. We've got Ralph Pop Sanchez joining us. Howdy, y'all, from a rainy San Antonio, Texas. Looking forward to the show.
Hey, we're excited you're here.
We've got G Moore. It was nice to meet you, Johnny.
Absolutely.
And we'll get into that in a second.
Great to see you.
Matt Williams joining us. Hey, guys. Draco Cycles, our buddy Draco in Georgia. Got to meet him in person several years ago.
Beginning, man. Been hanging out.
And he's getting back. Have you seen his?
I haven't got a chance to watch, but I'm so happy to see
he's done some videos. He
and whatnot.
Paints on very small media. Really small. Just checking in real quick. We're watching our nightly Christmas movie. I'll have fun.
Oh, okay.
Wiley said I was there last week. It was an awesome show. Thank you.
Thanks for hanging in.
David Vaccaro surfs up in HB, California.
Nice.
What's HB?
I don't know. There we go.
Oh, Huntington Beach from my father in the Peanut Gallery.
Or as Little Daddy Roth called it, the green room.
Right. Mr. Dana Baldwin joining us. Yep, I caught last week's show. Thank you for watching. It was a great show.
Man, it was so good. So definitely go back and check it out.
Nicole's
Don't leave now.
Nicole's phone. This must be our Michigan buddy.
Hey, that's right. We'll take Nicole's
phone. Hi, guys. Ron Sedlak joining us. Southeast Hot Rodders, Nostalgia Drags, and Car Show.
Yes, go check it out.
September 20th, 21st, 22nd. That's next year. That might be something we can do.
Yes.
Mike Hicks joining us tonight. Hicks. Get it on. Michael Allen joining us. Howdy, guys. Richard Hahn. Hi from Alpena.
What's up, Alpena?
The McCoys are in the house. Brian and Lisa McCoy. Kuyan Customs.
Indoor.
Wesley Wilkerson joining us. Now that Inktober is over, are you returning to drawing as normal? We actually were going to do that tonight. Johnny was going to do a drawing. Got caught up at work, worked a little bit later today. And then again, like he said, we just had so much stuff to talk about.
I didn't want to let some of the stories from this weekend go and then, try to utilize them during drawing and where I really couldn't talk about them much. So we wanted to make sure we had, wow. Asthma or something.
Where'd that come from?
I don't know. It's weird.
Ron said you guys are invited to that show. Booth on me.
Okay.
Wonderful, Ron. Thank you. Yeah, there's Nicole. She's tuning in from Facebook now. Nicole
there
Ferguson.
She is.
Mark Domek joining us. I'd love to meet y'all sometime when we come down to Florida in our 40 bus. Hit us up, guys, because it may not be much, but we've got a thing going on here.
Yeah.
And
come be a part of it.
Yeah, I'd love it. We've got Maydeen Cheney. I used to work with
What's up, Maydeen?
At Barron Harding. She's actually been over here for Thanksgiving once.
That's right.
Scott Ferguson joining us. What up?
Oh, look at that. Ferguson's.
And Lizzie is asking for prayers for Randy. Her husband Randy's tooth's bothering him. So we will definitely lift that.
Can do.
Very positive people about the healing. So Clyde Hensley, our wonderful friend from Michigan as well. Got to see him again when we were up there just a couple months ago. Great. Happy Monday. All right. So we're caught up.
Fantastic.
Here
we got roll call. Who's the magic mirror see?
Right.
Listen, we're so excited when you guys come on. And, unlike many other podcasts, we, having our you guys be a part of the show is the most important thing to us. Your comments, it just feeds and drives the podcast. So, and just Sketchy Live in general. So we appreciate you. That's why we take the time to read your comments and at least let you know, hey, we see that you're here, and we're so appreciative of that. So continue to keep hanging out and keep commenting as we go along.
G Moore said, "I'm the crazy guy that met you at the gate." So let's we've got Shaboom on the broadcast tonight. And
Shaboom. Hey,
Shaboom.
Yes. So yes, we have a special dedicated segment called the Shaboom moment.
So stay tuned.
Tuned for that. We got that coming, and I believe it was Matt Williams. I gotta check my phone. but I want to say it was Matt Williams.
You
that
don't
might
need
have
to take time to do it right
Go
now.
ahead. You can talk.
Well, I was going to ask you to
No, I
share a
can do
little bit about. Okay.
I can do two things at once. It's
So we
amazing.
know that Johnny's been working on Kona, and this has been since July 5th. He started the project July 5th. His
July
goal was to make it to the Florida Bug Jam. He made it to the Florida Bug Jam, guys. Now, the car was not driven out there. He did tow dolly it, but she got out there. And how exciting for you and for anybody watching the progress of this build, because you had a lot of people cheering you on for this.
Yes, and that was a big push, a big push to get it done and to get there, because I made a goal, and my goal was to get the car from as soon as we made that first cut. And I said, in the conversations with you guys and the conversations with Itty B in private, under the sheets, we talked. Getting the car to Bug Jam was the goal, because it was like, okay, I have so much time. It was roughly 3 months, a little under
4
months.
4.
So I felt like that was a reasonable amount of time, trying to kind of mimic some of the time crunches that, like, Ian does on Full Custom Garage and stuff like that, where it's a very short period of time. So I was like, can I do the same thing with my limited skill set? Zero skill set as far as doing this stuff, being it was my first time, and that was the goal, to get it there. And with your guys' support, you pushing, you supporting, and go Johnny, go, we made it. We got the car to the Florida Bug Jam for both days. So we got it there Saturday for the Dade City Cruising. Unfortunately, it wasn't as big a turnout as I had hoped, but we still got it there. And that was the thing. We got it to that. And then it made it Saturday in its spot that it sat for the show. And, as done as I had, it was, other than glass for this stage of the project of what I had hoped to do, other than the glass, that's the only thing that we're lacking.
Yeah.
Because it drove and it ran. And we'll get into that story too, because it's a good one. But yeah, so thank you guys. And I'd like to take a second just to say thank you, my beautiful wife, for being so supportive and giving me the time, giving me the space, being out there, pushing me. How's it going? Hey, you working on it today? At no point did you make it where it was like I had to fight to get time out there. You were so kind and so loving and supportive. I couldn't have made the goal without you. And I just want you to know how much I appreciate you as my wife and supporting my dreams. So thank you so much.
That's been my MO since day one.
Absolutely. That's why. Absolutely.
With everything that you've done,
I've asked you to marry me, because you've been that way since the beginning.
I just want to support you. And you had not only a lot of people counting on you for this, because there were a lot of people watching the build, and they knew your timeline. I knew it would devastate you, and it would be a possible setback had you not made the goal. As much as you said you would have been okay with it,
I come to terms, and there was moments on Saturday I didn't, I was going to adjust, and it wasn't going to happen. But I just kept thinking about the commitment to, making a goal. And the cool thing is, once I got to the show and folks were sharing, and people were sharing on Facebook, as I was posting pictures and stuff about how, and it's weird to say this about them saying it to me or about me, about being, inspiring people to do projects and stuff like that. It's weird to say that, but that's what pushed me, because I was like, I got people, if I give up on it, maybe somebody who if they'd have just pushed a little bit more and didn't give up on their project, they could look at my situation and go, well, heck, man, he never gave up, and he pushed through, and he found a way to do it without killing my relationship with my wife. I got to spend time with my father-in-law, not as much time as I would like to, but he came out and he helped me with the project, which was great. So that was fun time in the garage. Cool. Ruined a leg and helping me tonight, pushing it back in and doing stuff. But it was still cool to have those moments sharing time, and even, Kevin went out there and a few moments of where sometimes it was he was just trying to help, but it would be a little bit of a distraction. But Then there were moments to where like the crate that's on the back of the truck, he's like, we had the extra wood left over. He's like, hey, can I try to build a crate for it? And I'm like, yeah. And the story I kept talking about was, he's a perfectionist.
Mm-hmm.
So
Very much.
It killed him when I was like, don't make it perfect. He's like, well, how do you do that? I'm like, leave spaces. He's like, I don't know. I can't. I don't. And I'm like, yeah,
that's my son.
Screws are coming out the side. And he's like, is that? Oh, I don't. And I'm like, it's fine. It's perfect. Hopefully somebody will get snagged on it and they'll bleed. And
and it wound up being you.
Well, yeah, it was a different spot. But so there was some cool things. But anyway, so we did make it to Bug Jam, Florida Bug Jam. And it was awesome. So again, babe, thanks so much.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. And it was great for me to see this whole thing unfold. You had a vision, and I've watched your art form. I've watched you start, maybe not from the very beginning because you were an artist before I met you, but from the beginnings of Johnny Jalopy LLC, I've watched you develop that, and it was nice to watch you develop this in concretion.
Yeah.
It was
fun.
It was really neat to watch, and I loved the dedication. So attractive that you were so passionate about it. So I was excited to see that part of it, and it just, I don't know, just re-solidified.
I learned again, we've talked about it on multiple times on the podcast. So I hope it's not a broken record. And you guys are like, we've heard this already. What can we move on? But the reality of it is true is it was a huge life lesson going out there and trying to attempt something I've never attempted before. And, having the knowledge and pseudo knowledge, like, I think I can do that. And I've paid attention and I've, studied and all those kinds of things. And I had a pretty good understanding of how to do it, but not ever have done it.
But it also, what I don't know if people really realize is it took you 6 years to get out there and do that.
Yeah.
This is something that you've talked about for a really long time, and you finally said, I'm just going to go for it. I'm just going to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know where that turning point came from. I don't know what sparked that for you, but one day you were just like, you know what, this is what I'm going to do. I know you had the money set aside. You did something, you sold something or did something, or it was money from
Detroit.
Yeah. It was the Detroit funds. And he put it aside and he said, you know what, this is going to be my project money, and I'm going to use it strictly for that. And that's what he did. I mean, any Johnny Jalopy money that we are making with merchandise sales or whatever.
Oh, she used to see the palatial mansion that we live
in. Yeah. Little daddy will tell you. Nothing to shake a
stick
at.
We left a pretty substantial tip.
But 22%. But we put everything back into this business because we want it to grow. We want the Johnny Jalopy name to get out there. We want his talent.
And again,
to be
the hopes is that anybody out there, like a Lizzie Daughtry, or as a proven point where we've watched her make her little small business and can continue to keep doing it. And there's another person people could ask and go, she doesn't seem to be giving up and keeps making new things and trying new stuff. Mm-hmm. We got people like Draco Cycles, took a little break from doing some stuff and is now back to doing art again.
Back to business, baby.
So, I mean, there's so many people when we were talking to Lil Daddy Roth, it's the thing about him that inspires me the most is that, he came from this legacy of this name that could easily be something that could turn out bad, right? It could be this huge negative thing because there's all this weight of the legend that is his dad and people trying to compare and you're just trying to do your dad. Like there's so many things that he could have turned him into saying forget it and do something totally different and not obviously is this passion to do it, and there's so many of you guys out there that we watch and I see that are doing it. Again, it's why I'm such a huge fan of
everyone else,
of everybody else. Yeah. And the guy that took the most a lot of stuff from was hanging out with Ian on those multiple times and soaking up and absorbing his fearlessness of, hey, just go out and do it.
And he told you that multiple times, and it took you time. You had to be ready. And everything just fell into place.
I just really, what it came down to is I just got so sick and tired of gearing, and really, that's what it comes down to. This is really what it solidified. how many multiple times I went out there with him, right, to work on the TV show, and and I'm in it with him, watching him do it, and looking at him do it, and I'm going, and not taking anything away from Ian, his skill and all that stuff, but I'm like, he makes it look like anybody could do, like, that was the point of his show.
Sure,
anybody can do this. And I'd come home and I'd be so pumped, and I'm like, yeah, this is the time. And I still would find a reason to not do anything because I was so afraid of messing. And it really was that.
It's fair.
I was so afraid of messing up what I already had. Even when, so here's the story of Bug Jams. One of the stories that but we'll get to some comments here in a second because I really don't want to miss out of what we just talked about. So go ahead and hit a few, and then we'll come back to this because it was one of my big fears even after doing the project happened.
So Lizzie Daughtry said Kona looks great. I got plenty of pics. Like I said, it was Lizzie and Randy and Steven that were downtown Dade City, and we were talking with them on Saturday. So before you even rolled into the show, they were the first people to really see it.
Yep.
Up front. Bob Brandel, who sold you the truck bed.
Huge support.
People were digging it. He said, you go, Johnny. Mark Domek said, that's awesome to set a goal and meet that goal. Oh, it's a great feeling. He's been on cloud nine. Lizzie said she's going to post the pics. Perfect. Brian Neary, an understanding and supportive wife is the best.
Absolutely.
Corey Cole said part of a big project is a supportive family and wife for sure. Ralph Pop Sanchez said San Antonio was on the line. The Garlits Museum is fantastic.
It is a place to go check out if you're ever in the area down here. It was that mid Florida ish is what you'd almost call Ocala. It's kind of mid
central state. Yeah.
It's you got to hit it up and check it out because it's and the legend is there some days. So
yeah, you could get lucky. Wiley Vincent said, I just bought a gray trucker hat. Thank you.
Oh, thanks so much.
Lizzie said, please tell your dad hi for me. Dad, Lizzie says hi. Wiley Vincent said, I hope I can have you both sign the beak of the cap. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. We will. Yeah. Dana Baldwin, I like the look of the crate. Good for airflow so it doesn't overheat too. Yeah, that was a last minute modification. I didn't realize you were doing that. So that was kind of cool to see it.
The way the conversation started is I was looking at him going, man, I wish at this moment I had like an old, wooden crate that you'd have like cigars or something would have been shipped in, or that's all I could think of was the big cigar box crates that you'd see, or like Coca-Cola crates that are wooden and stuff like that. And I kept thinking,
and you put it on hinges, which was super
and I kept
cool.
thinking about how cool would it be if it was flipped upside. It was just sitting in there, and I just looked like I was driving around with a crate in the back of the bed. And then that's when Kevin's like, can I make one? And I'm like, if you think you can make a crate, go ahead. There's enough for wood here.
You're like, hey, you go off in a corner, do your thing.
Well, it was no. I had the big skill saw out there, and I was like, okay.
Do not cut your leg off. Your mother will.
Well, that's what I told him, and that's what I kept thinking. I was there for a little bit. I was like, I'm not even going to move away from this area till I see that.
Keep in mind, my son is
how to do it.
27 years old.
Yeah, but
he hasn't been around power tools.
I asked him, have you ever used anything like this? Like, no. And I said, I will let you know right now, that thing will cut your arm off. It's not a toy. And so when you start playing with this thing, I want you to think about it. This is a deadly machine that will hack. And you're a guitarist, and that's your hand that you play guitar with, either one. So hey, if you want to be foolish, go for it. So I was hoping to make him afraid a little bit, just so he'd
be careful.
Yeah, have respect for the tool that he was using.
We've got
but he did great with it.
Joe Lombardo in the house. Hey guys, sorry I've been MIA lately, but Jersey is still here. Your build is awesome.
Joe, we're glad you're here, man. Thanks so much.
De Lorenzo's.
For sure.
Rob Earl's joining us. Hey Johnny, Jalopy art cool just got in from mowing the yard in 100 degrees. Eesh. This is what I need to see. Yikes. Jim McMillan joining us. You guys are great. So awesome. You got your project done. Way to kick butt. Thank you for making our Mondays less crappy. God bless.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Ron said, come back to Detroit. We can get the Kona painted next year, right? Yeah. Howard said, now is the time for Raquel.
Yeah, we'll see. And again, it's so interesting getting the project to where it's at now, the state that it's in. Where even though I didn't get to drive it to the show, but I did trailer it all that way, and it was bouncing all over the place, and nothing fell off and nothing broke.
We're aware of.
So I was like, yeah.
No broken windshields behind you.
I was watching the whole time, and there were, people driving behind me that were like pretty cautious, but it was bouncing all over the place, and everything held up. So somewhere along the lines, my welds became good enough to hold the steel together without it falling apart. So I was happy about that.
That's good news. That's good news.
And a lot of things, yeah. So that's good. But so going back to my story about the fear thing. So one of the things that since July 5th is when we made the first cut. We joked around. The first cuts are the deepest, or how's the song go?
Yes.
Ever since I made that first cut, initially when I first went into the metal, all I could think about was the guy I bought it from.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
His name is Roger, and he's been a great friend and a great VW
resource.
Well, he's like been a VW mentor.
Yeah.
He's the one that, I followed this guy home one night because I saw this bug in my neighborhood driving around, and I just thought that is the coolest thing I've ever seen. I've never seen a bug like that before. And, it was my first really seeing a Volksrad ever. And I was like, that is so cool. It's like a dune buggy, but lowered and all this stuff. And so I got to meet Roger, and he was just so cool. He's like, oh yeah, hey, great to meet you, all this stuff. And then I'd stop on my way home from work sometimes and talk to him and chat with him and things. And then we bought a project off him, hoping that we were going to build our own Volksrad out of a 63 bug. And we got to, he went to a couple shows with me. We gathered parts. I'm sure some of you have heard this story before. So Roger is this integral part of the story, to the point he sold us that bug for a very reasonable price. You bought it for me for my birthday. So it went from, and his giving us the keys was basically, if anybody's going to love it and be as passionate about that bug as I have been. Now this bug has been in his family forever. His older brother drove it around, would drive his kids to school in it. It's been in this area in Pasco and Holiday area for years and years, been driving around in multiple states of
progression.
That ratty VW look. So with that in mind, I'm thinking to myself as I'm making the first cut that, oh my gosh,
what is he going to think about it?
I'm destroying a family legacy, right? But it's mine, and that's been the hard part this whole time. And
you were even concerned about changing the paint.
Well, not at first. I didn't have a problem. I'll cry on anything. But the big thing was there was a part of me though that would go to shows and I would share that it was my bug, but it was really somebody else's bug that had this whole legacy. And I was like, that's the part where that was the part that kept eating at me. So when I decided I'm gonna do it, that was a big driving force too. It's like it will finally be mine.
Yeah.
Because I'm basically taking what was theirs and
doing something completely different.
So that first cut on July 5th, I thought about Roger. So long story short, that was a very long story. This whole time, I've been thinking but nothing about from Roger. I haven't seen him since the first cut. I haven't talked to him. We usually talk every once in a while. I usually see him out and about. We'll usually see comments on posts sometimes on Facebook and things like that. Nothing. Silence. And I'm like, okay, he's seen what I've done and he's pissed. That's not good. He comes by my work. I see him at work every once in a while. Nothing. Right. So I park my bug for Saturday night. I leave. I come back Sunday morning. Got all my gear. Come walking up. And guess who's parked 2 cars down from me?
Roger.
Well, there's a gray Sterling that's this crazy, beautiful custom Sterling that is nothing like any other Sterling you've ever seen. If you know what a Sterling is, it's a kit car that uses a VW motor. And what he's done with Sterlings, all the ones that he's ever built, he takes Sterlings and turns them into these amazing looking cars, and they don't look like a Sterling anymore. So that car is sitting there, and I'm like, that's Roger's car. But come to find out, he had actually sold it. So it's crazy. He actually had it back. And then I look, and a head pops up, and he goes, "Hey, man!" And all I could think is, "Oh God!"
He saw it
right next to me. So he immediately gets up from his chair, and he's like, "Hey, buddy, how's it going?" I'm like, "Hey, man, how's it going?" He's like, good, good, good. Then he looks at Kona, looks back at me, and he goes, "It's a lot different than I remember." And something like that. Like in my head, all I could hear was, "You suck, and I can't believe what you did." And da 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 da. Anyways, he lets me off the hook, and he's like, "Dude, I really like what you did. It looks great. Great job. Way to go for it, and it's yours. You do what you want to do to it, And then come to find out, he's been following the build. He's been staying low key, just to kind of
mess with
me a little bit, because he must have heard, because I've shared that. I wondered what he thought about it. And so anyways, we got the thumbs up and the approval of the previous owner that he likes what I did to it,
and that made you feel a little bit better.
And I felt a whole lot better, but still at the same time, like, but what was cool, he spent most of the day at Bug Jam, we just rapping and talking to each other and talking about old stories in his car, my car, and it was cool because it wasn't like I felt like it was mine now, because I had done all this stuff to it, so that's cool. It was a cool story, and it was really fun to finally have the closure of that first cut,
the approval.
Yeah, well, that first cut, being able to finally face what I had been. Again, there's another fear I faced, which was the previous owner, face to face. I didn't see it in a picture and go, well, I can't believe that, because I'm sure a lot of you guys have done projects where you've sold them and you see stuff, and then you see the next owner and they do stuff, and you're like, damn it, why'd they ruin it? Or I wouldn't have done that. And and for him to say, hey man, I really dig what you did to it, made me feel super good about it. But also, and then what was really cool is he kept walking around the Bug, and he would go, oh, hey, you still have the same this. And I'm like, yeah, dude, it was part of the original. Oh, okay. And then he'd look at something else and he goes, oh, you still have yeah, dude, that's still there. Why would I take it? It's cool. Why would I get rid of that? And I said, one of my most favorite pieces that he had, which was on the roof that you could pull on and off, which was one of my favorite features of the Bug, is that there was this little tag that would be like on a parachute or something.
Parachute pull.
And I said, this is my most favorite part of this. And he told me the story. He's like, I can't remember I got it, and da 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 da. And then he's looking at the scoop in the back, and he goes, I know where that's from. I'm like, I'm sure you do. So I told him the story how the rear visor came to be, and he's like, oh, that's awesome. So that's still part of the car. I'm like, yeah, look, underneath I left all the stickers still there. So I'm not going to paint that part. Just the top got painted. So all the stickers that we used to look at from the inside of Kona are now on the outside. I'm sure they'll wear off and eventually, but we'll put new stickers on there. Yeah. So that was cool.
So fun. Mark Domek said, Ian is inspiring for all of us in the family that build cars. Your art is really awesome. Thank you. I mean, that's definitely where the inspiration came from. I think working side by side with somebody who was doing it. I mean, because you did welding classes, like with your job. You've gone to welding classes.
Small, different little, like how to use and how they work and things like that.
Safety stuff.
Yeah,
maybe,
I had an understanding of how I understand how welding works, and Ian showed me a few little tricks and stuff for welding. But
to work side by side with somebody, it gives you a little extra confidence, I think, to really
I think
start
if
doing it.
I'd have spent a couple months of just welding with somebody who knows how to weld, who would go, hey, try this and move that and do this.
Well, for several years, you tried to get out to Gene's show.
Well, a lot of those classes, the chop classes and stuff like that, which I still would love to go do.
Yeah.
Now that I have done it, and to learn how to do it the full on right way to do it and stuff, but
tips and tricks. Yeah.
But it was cool that there was people that walked around and looked at it, and if they did say anything negative about it, I didn't hear anything, and I didn't see anybody pointing, going, when you can see, you look away and you ask people taking pictures, and I'm so, in fact, a lot of guys came by and were like, dude, I love what you did with the roof, because it was actually a Volkswagen truck a couple spots away from me, that where it had the the normal oval crown on it and stuff like that, and it was a really cool. The guy did a phenomenal job on his,
but yours is a little different,
totally different than his. But everybody was like, I really dig what you did with it. And then when I said, well, the Model T, Model A was my inspiration. They're like, oh, Well,
There it is.
I can totally see that.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
Paul Marziani is joining us. Hi, all. Looks great. Nice job. Welcome, Paul.
Thanks.
Ron Cousino. Hey, guys, from North Carolina, tuning in. Welcome. We've got Zach LeBlanc, Shaggy's son.
What's up, Zach?
If you get Kona up here, I'll be more than happy to prep her for paint. Look at all these offers. We just got to drive up to Michigan. Alan Williams, watching from Houston, Texas. Welcome.
Hey, what's up, Alan?
Joe Lombardo, just so you know, I have a million reasons why I can't get my project going, but you have inspired me to jump in and do it.
So another guy commented on last week's thing about that particular statement that you're saying. And he's like, how do you stay on pace? In fact, one of the guys, there's a gentleman, I can't remember his name. I think we became Facebook friends this last couple days. So I'm still learning all these new people, which I met so many nice people at Bug Jam. They were so great. You know me, I'm terrible with names, but I could point out the cars.
Yes.
It takes me a little while to get everybody's names right, always. But I know their faces immediately. Anyways, this one guy was like, was like doing an interview with me and stuff. And then we were up there waiting for trophies, and he just was like, hey, dude, how'd you stay on pace? Like, how did you not? And I'm like, what do you? He's like, well, because I've been watching and following the build, and there were so many times where you were saying how hard it was and this and that. He goes, but like you would still find some reason to go out, and how did you do that? And I started thinking, and that's what Joe's talking about, is a lot of guys will get stuck on a project. Like, how do you do it? And what I said to the guy, someone commented on YouTube about the same thing. And what I said is, as advice, as someone who's now gone through it, is try to give yourself at least just do an hour, even if it's an hour out there. And you don't have to go there for 4 hours.
There were days you just walked around it and looked at it.
That's what I'm saying. I'm gonna get to that. So an hour. And sometimes that part of that hour is spending 30, 40 minutes just looking at it, thinking about prepping for the next hour you're going to go out there and work on it, which is, hey, what do I need to have to come out and be efficient in the hour I'm going to spend? Because that's all I got on Tuesday is an hour. But if you can dedicate an hour, even 30 minutes, if you can dedicate 30 minutes to your project, every opportunity you can, because again, that 30 minutes doesn't take any time away from us. An hour doesn't take any time from us. It's an hour I probably would have spent watching TV or doing something stupid.
And it was a lot of prepping and planning, because had you walked out there and been out of gas, you would have had to stop what you were doing, go get welding gas, come back.
That's the thing.
So instead, you went out, assessed how much do I have, what do I need to get, and then you would go.
I would generally set it up
the day before,
the next day, where I knew if I was going to be off, I was like, okay, I'd prep for being off. But even on the days I was off, there were some days where it was like, oh man, it's my only day off, and
we took a few days.
I want to relax or whatever, and I still was like, okay, even on my relaxed day, or even days I came home where I get off at 3:30 and gone in at 5:30, whatever, and I'm like, I know I got about an hour window before maybe we'll go to dinner or we'll start getting into doing the family stuff, or I need to do whatever we're doing around the house, whatever. Right. I would go, if I can just go out there for an hour, I'll change my clothes, I'll go out there and I'll just get dirty for an hour. And if that's only, there was times where I welded like 2 little panels and or blew giant holes for a half an hour and then spend the next half an hour trying to fix the holes I just ruined. I would just try to find time, little blips of time. Now, there were times where I was out there for 6 hours or 7 hours, or there were multiple days in that first, from the 5th through, the time I had taken some vacation time, I banged away those first 5 or 6 days where I was out there for 6, 7 hours, nonstop, not stopping for lunch, maybe coming in for some water, where I probably should have stopped. But on days where I had worked, I would just go out and, like you said, I would just go out sometimes and just look at it and go, okay, this is what I'm doing tomorrow.
Right. Make your plan.
Yep.
While you're prepping our surprise, I am going to read a few more comments here. So we've got David and Michelle Para joining us. Hello, my bug buddies.
Hey,
welcome
what's
to
up?
The broadcast. Mr. Dana Baldwin again. Ian is how I found out about you. How did you meet him?
Oh, yeah.
We've gone through this story several times.
I can tell it quickly.
But go ahead and do it quickly. Yeah, because it is It is very cool.
So I met Ian basically, I don't know what year it was, but I had been following Ian back in the MySpace days, was a huge fan, had all the DVDs, watched them multiple times. But I had posted some artwork that I had done back in 2013, I believe is when it was posted. And one day in my Facebook feed, someone sends me a message and he goes, "You're not going to believe this, but Ian Russell just posted a picture of your artwork." I was like, "What are you talking about?" So I go to Ian's page on Facebook because I'd been trying to get him to friend me. And he had no friend requests response. And anyways, and there sure enough was my artwork. And it says, "You got to give the people what they want." And I was like, "What does that mean? Is he going to do something with my car?" And then like within 10 minutes, my inbox on my messenger hit up and it was a message from Ian saying, "Hey man, I don't know if you know who I am, but I do this car show where I build a car on TV."
And you did know who he was.
And I was like, "Yeah,
very much so."
And anyways, one of my clients found a piece of your artwork and we'd like to utilize it as, possibly an inspiration for a build. Now, at that point, the intention was not to build the exact thing. It was just going to be this inspiration to it. Would you be okay with that? And I was like, hell yeah, I'm okay with that. So that's basically where it started. From that day on, within multiple days, him and I talked again, and then within multiple days, talked again, and then multiple days, talked again. And then before I knew it, I was like, dude, any way I can be a part of the show, not the show, but the build. I'd love to come and
sweep. You said
I'd be just clean up or whatever. I just would love to be a part of it some way, somehow,
Right.
watch you do it or whatever, just to be a part of it. And he's like, "Yeah, we'll see what happens." Well, and progressively through the build, he kept sending me pictures of, "Hey, I was thinking about buying this. What do you think of this metal for the grill surround?" "Yeah." "Hey, what about this? This is where I'm at so far." "Hey, this," and he was just kept checking in with me all the time. And then finally I got the invite of like, "Hey man, would you want to be on the show?" And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" I didn't say that to him. Like, "Yeah, man, that'd be really cool."
Yeah, you were super cool about it.
But yeah.
It was a total fan moment. But that's how it started. And then they got along so well. Johnny and Ian work really well together.
Well, not only Johnny and Ian worked well together, but Brooks, the producer of the show, is a great guy. And immediately him and I hit it off. And we're talking a lot. We have a lot in common as far as the love of movies and TV and how they get made and all those kinds of things. We had long conversations about production and different things like that. So I have such a passion for those things too. It was what I wanted to do when I was in high school. It's what I wanted to do when I started going to college. Is I wanted to get into the film and TV industry. It was my dream to be an actor. It was my dream to be in movies. And stuff happened and that didn't happen for quite some time, and then this opportunity came, and next thing I know, I'm on TV.
And Shaboom.
Okay,
so we're gonna get into this,
guys. If you followed us along when we came back from Detroit,
the second time,
our second
trip,
Frankenmuth
show.
Yes, we had such a great time, and our good friend Bob Shaboom, he invited us to, well, and of course, not just it was everybody.
It was a going away little get together before we caught our plane ride home for people that maybe
Shaggy LeBlanc made it all happen. And they're the Michigan folks are such amazing people.
Southeast Michigan hot rodders gang.
Yeah, they got together and they were
Jay Newby, I see you.
He's just hung out with us and stuff. And so anyways, Bob had found some snacks and things and set it out on tables, and there were these beautiful it was a big bowl of York peppermint patties. And
wait, let me zoom in because I'm going to show how we make it.
You can't zoom in.
Yes, you can.
Okay. York peppermint patties. Now, Bob had said they were probably pretty aged, but we said they were so good. So we're all popping, York peppermint patties. It's got some, there was some chips and dip and all kinds of things. It was pretty cool. Cookies and stuff. And then there was, a bag of Lay's potato chips, and we're not affiliated with Lay's or the sponsor, but it would sure be nice if you did.
We do love chips.
We do. So anyways, I was sitting there, and I took a York peppermint patty. Did you get me one?
Yeah, it's right here.
Oh, you got me.
You got to build it.
Yeah. So if you've ever, so I made this concoction, and then once I ate it, I was like, this is amazing. And then I got everybody to try it, and they were like, that's really good. And then I was like, yeah, it's called the Shaboom. I just, out of my head, I was like, this is because Bob. So we call this the Shaboom. It's a Lay's potato chip. You got to do the wavy Lays. Ruffles won't work. They're too tight and they're probably not salty enough.
You're going to sandwich.
You're going to sandwich a York peppermint patty between 2 Lay's potato chips, preferably a fresh bag. But I did them with chunks. I also did a pseudo other version where I took, you throw a handful of chips in your mouth and then a York peppermint patty in your mouth. But you have to do it all in one bite because the salt, salt and the chocolate and the mint together is an amazing bite. So I'm going to make a Shaboom right now.
And I've already made mine. Got to see what that looked like.
So good. I can't wait to have it.
I know.
I'm so excited.
I am excited as well.
Okay.
So 2 decent sized chips. You want to cover.
Yeah, you want to make sure you're sandwiching. So look at, I'm cheating because I added an extra chip because I know I want a little more salty. And that's how you can modify. So you take your chip, take your chip there, right? And then you take your other chip and you make a sandwich and all in one bite.
So good.
So good. I mean, it's just a minty, chocolatey, sugary, salty Shaboom in your mouth.
Called the Shaboom.
So there you go. Bob, that Shaboom's for you.
Love it. We've got Rob Earl in regards to a builds project from little things, big things grow.
Yeah. Just like the Shaboom in my mouth.
I'm trying to swallow.
Tell you what, this Shaboom was trademarked by Johnny Jalopy LLC. Not the name Shaboom, but the candy cookie Shaboom. And we'll split all profits with Bob.
Dennis Gilly joining us. Love your work.
Oh my God, it was so good.
It was.
Dang.
Dana Baldwin said, "Congrats on hitting your goal."
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's been an amazing week. Joe says, "Is Brooks related to Bill on the show?"
Yes, that's Brooks' dad.
Father and son. Mark says, Ian's show with the Volkswagen bus that you were on is how I found out about you. Saw the artwork and became a fan immediately. Yeah, it was such a cool way to start it all off. I mean, you guys have done some amazing projects together, but that first one, nothing like the first one. Johnny 5 was
what's
amazing.
Crazy about the Johnny 5 is it's like the legend now. It's only been seen in pictures. As far as I know, based on what I've heard last time I talked to the owner, which is Mark Hayward, it's still in pieces and parts up in a big giant wherever he keeps his project stuff in parts and pieces. So at one time he had said something about he was in the process of maybe reassembling it. The dream was, it was crazy when the car got done. All the talk was about it was going to go to shows in Canada and it was going to hit the circuit. And listen, Mark's a super busy guy. He's got this whole helicopter business that he does. And he does big things and helps with a lot of stuff overseas and different projects and things like that with his business. So he's a very busy guy, but he's got a lot of projects. So one day I hope. One day I hope if it's ever an opportunity that I'll get to maybe be able to get it from him, because Ian and I have talked a bunch of times of trying to go back and revisit it and fix all the things that we wish we would have done on the first time,
right? And
made some choices to where it would have been way exactly more like the drawing, and it's just a crazy story, because most people that walk up and see, the first thing they talk about is is Johnny 5.
Mm-hmm. It's an iconic, like they called it the cartoon hot rod.
Yep,
that was
the cartoon hot rod episode.
Yeah,
the Johnny 5, and again, the cool thing about it even being named the Johnny 5 is I feel really awesome and honored that Mark is the one. Him and his wife are the one that named it.
Mm-hmm.
It was the cartoon hot rod for up until Mark was like, no, it's the Johnny 5.
Yeah,
it's the Johnny 5, and I was like, that okay? You sure you want to name it after me? And he's like, yeah, it's your car, because it was there. But anyways,
that's fun.
Yeah, it's and again, that's been the greatest part of when I meet anybody that I out in the hot rod or the Volkswagen community. All of them talk about the Johnny 5.
Oh, that's cool.
And then the next one is the Doom Buggy.
Right. Robert Earl said, "Oh dang, we don't get either product here in Australia to make the Shaboom."
Okay, but do you have? I'm sure you have wavy chips, and right? So
and some type of peppermint patty.
maybe you have like an Andy's candy or something. So try to find at least a peppermint style.
It's a good substitute.
Is it a peppermint or
yeah,
is it
it's
just
peppermint?
So peppermint, like a peppermint chocolate candy. We can do an Australian version. We'll call it the Shaboom Down Under.
Right.
and if you find it, please make a picture, a photo, or something of you doing the Shaboom Down Under. We want to know what you utilize. If you're from another country that doesn't have specifically York peppermint patties or wavy lays in your neck of the woods, but you're going to try to make a Shaboom anyways, tell us what you decided to make it out of, and what did it taste like? Because it should taste very salty, very minty, super chocolatey.
It's glorious.
Oh my God, it's amazing.
Bob Shaboom Frizz going global here.
That's right.
He says, love it. Jake Cruz, Kona 5 is looking killer. Are you guys going to make it back to Frankenmuth Auto Fest next year again? We're hoping to get up there again. It's a tough time of year.
It's a tough time of year to even think about or what's going on. Well, we got some family stuff, situations moving and changing. It's going to be, we're super excited about, and
it just may change the scope of things. So
yeah, so there may be a little bit extra planning and utilizing of stuff, but we're definitely
here's what this year did prove to us is that yes, we can go to shows.
Yes,
it was doable.
Oh my God, it was so good.
And it was really fantastic. Again, I mean, for me, I got to spend all that time with Little Daddy.
Listen,
and had we not done that, he wouldn't have been here.
Two things happened in this last year of things, and usually it's me going, "You were right, babe," but this year was the year that finally two things that I've been talking about for years, where you were like, "I don't know, is it really that important for me to go or be a part of it?" Which was going to some big shows. You kept saying, "Well, just go by yourself," and I'm like, "Babe, you need to come with me so that we can do it together, because we're together the way we're doing this."
Right.
And then the second part was, after last week's podcast, it was the first time I really, not first time, but it's where all like you're like, man, we gotta amp up our game. We got to get this going better. And we got to make sure we got enough mics. We got to make sure we got enough headphones. We got to all this stuff. And I'm like, this is what I've been talking about for a while. You're great at this. You're very good at this. And I'm a fan of what you do. I'm not kidding. I love what you do, and you bring to. I've watched our podcast. I like it. It's fun. I enjoy it myself, and what you bring to it is exciting. I'm not pumping smoke up your butt because I could do this by myself. Trust me. I don't want to, but I could do it.
I could probably do it by myself.
You could do it. You could. Itty B's weekly podcast.
I love that you let me be a part of it. And I wouldn't have met any of these nice people. I wouldn't have been involved in any of this. I wouldn't have learned everything that I've learned. It's been a journey that I'm happy that we're taking together. I'm excited.
Read some more comments. We got some good ones popping up.
Matt Williams said, thanks for showing that. It blends pretty well. He's going back to the Shaboom.
Firebird.
Yeah, Steven Sutherland. Oh my God. You're going to have to just do one.
Well, we tried. We tried to do the damn Knight Rider and it froze up on us.
Jay said, I watched the whole show of that build. Yeah, that was a good one. Dana said 5 has always been my favorite number, probably because of Speed Racer.
Well, it's been a huge part of my life as well. The 5 in multiple facets, going back to football days. Of course, we just lost Dick Butkus, which was a huge inspiration to my athletic time. His number was 51 as a pro, and the number 5 has so many more new facets and meaning in my life now. Just the biblical understanding of the number 5.
Right. We've got Shaggy LeBlanc joining us. Welcome, sir. This guy has been a wonderful, wonderful supporter of
Absolutely.
Johnny Jalopy. He has facilitated so much. This guy knows everybody up in that Michigan community. We wouldn't have met Ron. We wouldn't have met Bob.
None of them.
We wouldn't have met the Fergusons.
We would have never made it to Detroit.
Fight Masters,
none of that stuff would have ever happened.
Yeah, there's such a huge tight-knit community up there. And I don't know if you remember, a couple of weeks ago, they actually inducted us into their group, honorary members that I got a shop shirt. I don't have it on today.
Wow, really repping.
I know. But I'm happy to have met all of them and had the great experience that we had together up there. It was so much fun to be a part of it all. And everybody was just so nice, so helpful, and so supportive of one another. I really enjoyed.
Well, it's the stuff we've talked about the automotive community in general and the culture is that we would sit there, you look at magazines, we go to shows, and you see these big groups of people. It happened at Bug Jam. There was so many big groups of people that were hanging out together that are in clubs and good or bad, it's still a collective bunch of people that are all sharing a common love and passion for the automobile or motorcycles or whatever it is. It's really cool. And the best part is the support. Look at the support that we are getting from the people that are watching this right now.
Right.
There's a ton of other things you could be doing on a Monday, and here you are sitting in front of your computer or your phone or whatever, and you're listening to us babble on about the same things we babble on about
every time now. Mike Hicks said we'd love Itty B. Mike,
what's not to love, right?
Yeah. You are amazing. Yeah. I told Johnny, I'm like, that guy and I bonded. Like, I love Hicks. He's the best.
Listen, all those guys
they're all so good.
They're so kind.
And hopefully Little Daddy shared some good things about his experience out here at Johnny Jalopy Studios.
We're hoping so. Like the tacos were good and he ate good, that's for sure.
He did. Mark wants to know, just wondering if y'all have met Ian's friend Victor. He seems really cool and loves the different stuff like us.
So yes, I've had an opportunity to meet Victor and to sit and talk to him, and he is who he is on the show, but he's much more one of the hardest working guys. I mean, there's the American dream where you watch somebody who has built an empire from just working hard, and then hiring the right people, putting the right people in play, and continuing to take care of people around him. Do I love all of Victor's tastes and choices of things? A lot of them I do. There's some I don't, but as far as a guy and a dude that loves and is passionate about the culture itself and the automobile and hot rods and the customs, that dude is so passionate and just works his butt off to have his stable is amazing. And yeah, he's a good dude. I've met lots of great people through the show. Erie Eric's another guy got to meet through the show. Mark Hayward, another great guy through the show. I'm blanking on, I can't remember his name right now. Bob. Terrible. But I've met multiple great people through. Listen, all of you that are on here right now, I didn't know you before that show.
Right.
Some of you were following my art, but a lot of people have been since they found me on the show and those things. It's opened up so many doors for myself in my art.
We're so thankful. I've never heard you take credit for any of this that's gone on. Yes, you're doing the artwork, and yes, you've continued to do a ton of artwork outside of the Johnny 5 or any of the builds that you did with Ian. You are your own artistic person.
In the beginning of all this, every waking moment and every second of my spare time was spent with a pencil in my hand, and I was drawing and just posting to where people were like, dude, nobody works harder at getting better than you. And it was just, I was like, it's because I want to do this. It's the same passion and energy I went after this project. It's the same passion and energy that we're doing with Sketchy Live. I want to do it, and I want it to be good, and I want it to be where people can enjoy it. But I also, the bigger thing is I want it to be an inspiration to you who may be sitting on the sidelines and going, I wonder if I could do that. Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Who the hell am I? I'm just some guy who just took some time and learned how to do something and has worked really hard to try to hone it into some sort of a skill that I can share with people. Yeah, I don't take.
Speaking of which, we have an entire website devoted to your product.
Good time to go to a commercial.
We've got hats. We've got these cool beanies that I wear 24/7, guys. It is cooler weather out there in parts of our United States and overseas. So definitely take advantage of what we have available for you. T-shirts, tons of artwork, and artwork on there recent, but then also stemming back many years, you can really see the progression of how your art developed. So
Yeah, for sure.
go, even if you're not going to buy anything, guys, go check it out. Hank Dutton, our web designer, has done a really great job putting it all together. We've got videos from the last 6 years of our Sketchy live broadcasts that we do on Monday nights. So those are all available for you as well. Robert Earl said, I'll be hitting the supermarket later this afternoon.
Oh my gosh, the booms are
I
so
will
good.
get the Aussie equivalent products to make a Shaboom down under style. I love it.
So good.
I love it. Okay, guys, we're at 10:29. We're going to be doing our sign off here. We're going to continue to eat our Shabooms.
Is it really an hour and 29 minutes already?
It's been an hour. 10:29.
Okay, we're so good. Okay, you're trying to get us. You got stuff to do.
Well, we want to make it to where people are going to watch it. If it's a 2-hour show, they may not watch it.
You just said it's an hour.
An hour. It's 10:30.
All right, we're good.
Yeah.
I guess ADB's got stuff to do.
Do you have more? Well, I mean, we can go back to the Lil Daddy Roth thing, and what a pleasure it was to have him here. But I really think we just need to have people go watch that episode because it was.
Well, there's been quite a few people that have definitely watched it, and just we're getting some good deals on them. And really, what would help us the most is if we can get more comments and things.
Yeah.
Tell us what you think, and really, we'd love to hear what you're. Unfortunately, the comments that show up on the live part don't really count for the comments on the actual episode itself until you go in there. Mm-hmm. So it'd be awesome if you guys could, take a second if you got time, or not.
Like and subscribe.
I mean, you're already watching it, so I get why you wouldn't want to go back and watch it again because you're already watching it. But those comments that unfortunately don't count to the Facebook, or not the Facebook, but the YouTube algorithms or whatever. Mm-hmm. And that would definitely get us some more views.
And again, like you had talked about the fact that there's a ton of podcasts out there. Everybody's doing podcasts now, and this really wasn't something that we set out to do because it was going to be about your art.
Well, this is what I wanted to do.
Oh. Well, we have a lot of things to talk about. A lot. Johnny brings a lot to the table. He is not just an artist. He is not just a fabricator now.
Oh, look at that!
Tons of life experience and good, like, positive messages and just troubleshooting stuff. He's always been a very quick thinker.
I just really want
got a bunch to share.
I just really want folks to be able to go and go after what they've thought about, maybe dreamed about trying to do. Well, I go back to that kid that was sitting in my, I can remember it. Just, it was either just out of high school or maybe I was just going to like a first job or whatever. Sitting in my living room painting on directly, paint onto a t-shirt because I wanted to make my own t-shirts. And I kept thinking to myself, this would be cool. So cool if I could just like sell t-shirts as a business, like do my own thing, that'd be so cool. And so that passion and thought process was always there of like, man, we really need to have some sort of my own business doing something. And, slowly but surely we've built a brand. Johnny Jalopy is a brand.
And IDB is also a brand. You can pick up
mm-hmm.
pick up an IDB shirt over at the website as well. I, as a young girl, sat with puff paint on my living room floor and designed my own t-shirts. So
it's meant to be.
Right? Look at us.
Shaboom.
Apparel. And I've always been a fan of
Shaboom?
The York peppermint patty.
Oh.
So it's all coming full circle.
Yeah.
Wiley Vincent said, I liked it on Facebook and YouTube.
Thanks
I enjoy
so much.
how
Wiley.
you have your followers involved in your discussions. And that was what I was getting at. There are tons of podcasts out there, but not all of them have this interactive ability. And that's what I love about us. We've developed relationships. We met Spud and Julie on a cruise, and they became fans of the show as well. And they have been watching for the last 7 years or however long it's been as well. And we've made friends. Draco, this Michigan crew, I feel like we're friends and family with these people.
And again, so I just met some great people there from Alabama that were parked next to me, and that Roger was like, oh, that guy's from TV. He's kind of a celebrity. I'm like, a Z-list maybe. But he was like, oh, so then they wanted to take pictures, and the next thing we just started talking. And that guy was like, been a mechanic since he was super young and worked in old Volkswagen shops forever and has built tons of Volkswagen projects and stuff. And so, his name is John. I can't remember his wife's name, but such friendly people. and it was really cool to wrap with them. I met some people from Hawaii who live in Sarasota that have now invited us down to Sarasota for cars and coffee, and just were really friendly and just super great. And his wife makes the moco loco.
And Johnny's very interested in visiting.
So we will definitely be heading down there to see them and eat some yummy Hawaiian food.
Bob said, have another Shaboom on me. I think Johnny did.
I did. We didn't see it.
Nicole Ferguson said, this is the only podcast I've ever watched. And Jay said, me too.
Oh, wow.
LOL.
Thanks. Well, there's lots of good ones out there, and there's lots of good podcasts out there, and there's lots of automotive podcasts too, and probably get way more into the nitty gritty of the automotive stuff. And this is probably our last specific talk about the project per se and Bug Jam, but it was just such a big deal to make sure that we talked about it, because it's such a fresh thing
because people were waiting to hear how it turned out.
And it went great.
Make your goal? Did you get to the show?
I made my goal. So this was the thing. So I got to tell this story because this was where was the mad dash of really how it all went down.
Okay, quick.
So Friday I go and I'm getting the car ready. I'm going, okay, I'm going to go to Bug Jam. I'm going to do it. You guys took off to see your aunt in Orlando or Daytona. So I'm here and I'm like, okay, I got my tail lights on, headlights are working, everything is good. I started the Bug, it's running great. I start working on, okay, I'm gonna finish the bed, we'll do the crate thing. So it's like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. I'm rolling it, finally roll it into the garage. I hit the key one more time to make sure all systems are go. So in the morning on Saturday, I already got my plan. I'm getting up super early. I'm gonna go. I got to see if because a good friend Bill Martin gave me a tow bar to tow the Bug to Bug Jam. Well, he gave it to me, but I was like, oh, I'll use that to tow it to Bug Jam. Because I was thinking, I don't have windows and stuff, so I'll at least get it close by, then I can drive it into the show, right? And so I do that. I go get some pins to hold it in there. I'm getting all, I go buy some cinnamon paint to make sure I paint all the metal panels that were left that weren't painted yet, just to kind of fade it in and make it look kind of finished, whatever. So we go, I do that, and then I stick the key in the ignition to drive it out to the street so I could hook up the tow dolly, and I got nothing to the key, no lights, no nothing. So then I grab a test light and I start testing wires. I got powered. The light comes on. I hit the battery. Light comes on. I go to the starter. Light comes on. I go near the alternator. Light comes on. I go near the coil. Light comes on. I go to the switch. Light comes on. I go to the key. Nothing. I'm like, what is going on? So I'm thinking, okay, so I go to the main part that sends from the key to the starter. I got nothing. I got power coming to the starter or to the key, but nothing going to the starter other than what's coming off the main battery. Nothing.
To say you were frustrated.
I get my first phone call from Eddie B. Hey, are you going to go to the show? Are you almost done? Are you going to get there? Because we're getting ready to leave here. And I'm like, I don't even know if I'm going to make it. Right? I don't even know if I'm going now. I was so frustrated.
So irritated.
So now I got to pull all the wood off the bed of the truck that I just got in and looked great and was perfectly in there and all this stuff. I got to pull it all off. I'm stabbing wires, trying to find out where this dead wire is at, because it's clearly a dead wire coming from the key all the way back to the starter. And I'm finding where it's 12 volts, or, I'm getting light here. I'm not getting light here. I'm getting the light here. I'm not getting the light there. So I'm getting more frustrated. I'm like, okay, the phone rings. It's already been like an hour and a half, almost 2 hours. Hey, babe, do you think you're going to go? I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing. You're like, okay, well, I'll talk to you later.
You were
I'll
like,
call you in a little bit.
Bleeding.
Well, I'm not even there yet. Haven't gone to that part yet. So then I get it on the thing. I'm wrestling with the tow bar. It won't fit on it won't fit on right. I can't get the pins to go through. So I go and I'm grinding it down, trying to get it to fit. The pins finally fit. I stick it on the Jeep. I got a drop hitch. Everything's good. I take it around the block. I'm dragging the tow bar. Every bump, it's just sending huge sparks towards the full gas tank of fuel. So this isn't going to work. So I'm like, okay, I don't have a way to even tow it now. The phone rings. It's already been an hour later now. Hey, so do you think you're going to go? And I'm like, I don't even know, Beth. I'm so mad.
Now you're using my real name.
Yeah. And at this point, like Eddie B said, I had grabbed the roof to stick it in the back of the truck so I wouldn't forget it. So I had a cover on it when I got to the show, and I didn't grind, because remember, part of the rear spoiler is what used to be the roof.
Right.
And so when I cut it, I never cleaned it up. So I grabbed it and I shank this giant hole in my finger, and I'm pouring blood everywhere. It's like the scene from The Shining down the hallway. It's just, I'm pouring blood everywhere. The phone rings again. Are you gonna go? I'm like, I'm bleeding to death. I don't even know I'm gonna go to the show. I don't even know. So then I stop and I take a second and I'm like, you gotta go, man. You gotta get it to the show. This has been your goal. This is the first day. If you don't make it here, you're not gonna go tomorrow. You're gonna talk yourself out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I got in the car and I drove to the nearest U-Haul and I rented a tow dolly. They called Itty B and she's like, who's calling me? Some girl is calling. Do you know Johnny?
Well, anyways, he's my husband.
Yeah.
Why?
So anyways, I get it home. I get it back. I throw it up on the tow dolly and I load everything I can think of. It takes me another hour to load everything because I'm thinking all the things. I'm trying to throw hats, some stickers. I'm like, I don't even know what's going to happen. I just know I got to get to the show. It's 2:00. The cruising starts at 2:30.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 45 minutes, 50 minutes away. Right. So I finally get it loaded up, 2:15, and start heading that way. The phone rings. Are you close? I'm like, I'm not even on the road yet. I had just got out of our neighborhood. Anyways, so we finally make it there, 10 after, what was I? 2:45, 3:10, something like that.
3:15.
Itty B says, I got you a spot. It's in a perfect spot. It's great. So I pull in, we get the spot, we pull off. And of course, there's smiling faces, Lizzie Daughtry, Steven, and Randy. And I'm like, okay, I made it. And there are people who were here
to see it.
And had I not come, I would have let them down.
Mm-hmm.
I would have let myself down, and I probably would not have gone on Sunday.
Right.
So
there it is.
You got to push yourself to get your goals, man.
You got to push yourself. We've got Close Cut joining us. Our
What's
buddy
up, Art?
And Art was a bit of part. He was an overseer.
Was
of
the integral part. Had Art not been there that day, in looking over my shoulder and having my back as well, I know I would not have made the first cut. But having my good buddy Art there to say, do it, man.
Yep. He believes
I won't ever forget that.
He said, how did the car drive? I just told an old buddy tonight to check out our old 51 episodes. So we did. We had Art on.
Great. That was a great interview.
Our first podcast interview ever, several years ago. So
with the questions of death. No, it was
it was the shakedown.
Shakedown with Itty B.
Mark said, do you ever build models of your art or just build? I build up. This was really the first build.
Oh.
Really? For you?
Yeah.
So Jay said, have you guys ever went to the Turkey Rod Run in Daytona? We have.
Yeah, we've been there Raquel a few times
as spectators, and we vended. Set up a table there. Yep. Great show. We can't really make it anymore. Johnny works retail, and Black Friday weekend can't get away. Barry Wayne said, I don't think I could try to chop up the Volkswagen I'm working on. Johnny didn't think he could either, and he did. And I'll say this, in our fellowship ministry, we talk about the 4 Ds, and it's decide, desire, details, and deliverance. You decided you want to do this. Yep. You had the desire to do it.
Yep.
The details fell into place, and then the deliverance. You got it. And that's just how it works with anything in life. It's a principle that we use.
And also that fear is the number one thing that'll stop you from doing anything.
That's
when the reality of it was, there was nothing to be afraid of, because there was nothing to be afraid. I had people who had my back. Art was there. I had, Ian told me, hey man, if it gets screwed up, I'll fly out and I'll help you. There was all these factors of no reason to be afraid of it. Not to mention, had I just trusted in my skill set, my skill ability to learn things,
right.
Which is what, when it all comes down to it, that's the thing that once I got past this, I'm not going to be afraid. I'm just going to do it. yeah, there was times I failed, and there were times that I screwed things up, and there were other times where I just learned from all that stuff, and I continue to learn from it. The whole thing yesterday. So, guys, you want to know exactly what was wrong with my bug, and then you probably some of you smart mechanic guys out there have probably already figured it out. On my drive home after being so stressed out over the weekend of why I can't get the car to run, and told a bunch of people like this is what happened, and everybody's like, oh, it sounds like gremlins or something. That's weird that it wouldn't have ran. And not one single person, which is interesting, not one single person said, hey man, was your battery charged? Because on the drive home after sitting and being, sitting in my, hey, I made my goal, I got it there, and I'm relaxed now, and I'm just, thinking about, hey, I did it. I did what I said I was going to do. I got it there. And I started really kind of just slowing down and thinking about, okay, what didn't I check? And the one thing I didn't check was that battery had sat in my garage floor since July 5th. So that's almost 4 months. It had been sitting with no charge on it. And I did get in the bug, and it started right up. So it had enough energy left in the battery to fire it 3 or 4 times and run for 2 or 3 minutes here and there, little spurts, but not enough to truly charge the battery. So when I started it up and ran, a few times on that Friday night as I tucked it into bed going, well, it looks like all systems are go. On Saturday morning, there was nothing left for me to start with because there was no power in the battery. Why I know that is because tonight when I came home, I set a battery charger on there for about 15 minutes on the battery, went out to the garage, turned the key, and it fired right up.
Yeah.
So there you go, guys. It's always something super simple and so silly that I didn't think about. Hey, dummy, get a battery. So I could have spent 30 minutes and drove down to the local parts store, bought another battery, not even had to wait to charge it up, and could have drove it to the show. But you know what? The adventure of all the things I had to do, and the stress and the fun and the craziness and the story.
We are all about the story.
We wouldn't have anything fun to talk about in the podcast. It would have just been, I got it to Bug Jam and I drove it.
Oh my goodness.
And it was fun.
So. Well, with that, I think we're going to wrap it up.
Absolutely.
We will wrap it up. Our success story, Johnny Jalopy, guys.
You
are
moments, you are steps away from making your dreams, your passions, your desires, all those things coming true. Just believe in what you believe in yourself, all the abilities that you have. If you're on the fence about starting a project or getting into a project, do not hesitate. Jump in. You can do it. Just do the research, spend the time. Talk to guys that know what they're doing. Befriend somebody. There's so many guys out there that have been doing it for years and years and years that want to share information that nobody wants to hear. These are the guys that want to talk about it and they want to share that stuff.
Don't be afraid to have a helping hand.
Yeah, and don't be afraid. Reach out to some of your buddies and say, hey man, I'm thinking about starting a project. What do you think? And and if they're not on board, move on. Find somebody who's got your back, because again, without the real close friends out there who were there behind me, without my beautiful wife who was there behind me, without family, without you guys pushing me to get the project done, it would have never got to the point it did. We made our goal, guys, and we did it. You guys were 1,000% an integral part of me getting my project done, and I'm forever grateful.
Well, you heard it here first, guys.
With that being said, hey, don't hesitate to head over to johnnyjalopy.com because I've got to pay for a project. No, I'm just kidding. No, for real. If you get an opportunity, head over there. We've got some stickers, hats, t-shirts.
Holidays are coming up.
Lots of cool stuff.
Great items.
Nothing a car guy loves more. And I can tell you this firsthand. Any car guy, if you got a car guy in your life, or you're a car girl, car gal, whatever, and you know that your significant other, your friend, your pal, whatever, is a car automotive person, I'm telling you, none of those guys want to open up presents where it's socks. Give them a cool hot rod t-shirt, a hat, sticker, a thing of stickers, jumper cables, something that's automotive related. You will make that person go, this was the best Christmas ever. Because nothing is worse for a car guy to get something and you're like, oh,
he's getting jumper cables this year.
Salad bowls. I really wanted salad bowls. So, yeah. Hey, listen, I take one. But yeah. So, hey, and so add the johnnyjalopy.com as a part of your Christmas gift shopping experience.
As always, we appreciate your viewership, your friendship, your interaction with us on these broadcasts, and we'll be back next Monday.
That's right.
Night.
Another Monday night in the books. You made it, and we are
Johnny
so appreciative
Jalopy.
of it. That is Eddie B. I'm Johnny Jalopy, hot rod artist, podcast extraordinary lady over there, keeping it all, holding it down. You, the fans, you, the army. We sure appreciate you guys. See you next week. And as always, stay sketchy. We'll see you guys soon.
Bye.